All right, what's up, internets? We are live, session 21 of Storm King's Thunder. It is your favorite internet DMing role-playing Ginger here with my good Storm King Thunder buddies. And tonight's session is called... Why is my YouTube playing? Is that my YouTube? It's not my YouTube.
I clicked that and then
All right, that's my voice. I don't like hearing my voice. Okay, it's a weird voice. But anyways, tonight's session is called Winds of Warning. No, backwards. Warning Winds. Sorry, I'm a little loopy. I just got over a cold and a flu, all jammed into one. But nonetheless, we are going to kick it off. So, I'm not going to do a recap. If you don't know what's going on, guys, that sucks to be you. Go watch the last episode. Nonetheless, our group has a towering mountain of ice now behind them. They look backward as you begin to ride into the maze of icy currents that is the sea of moving ice. It's a miracle that you're still alive. You 9 waged war on the Jarl Strolvad and his frost giant marauders. And you left Vardberg alive. A feat that very little humanoids of your caliber, or not your caliber, very few humanoids can say, period, besides frost giants. Frost giants aren't known for taking prisoners, and not only did you not become a prisoner, but you were able to slay the Frost King, Jarl Strovad. Yet, as you leave this place with your lives, there's still a sour feeling of defeat. As a traitorous mage by the name of Niran betrayed you at the last moment, knocking Sunlit unconscious and stealing the Oracle Lens, which is what the party strolled across the Icewind Dales for many weeks, marched into the death mission to actually capture this Oracle's Lens, just to have it taken away at them at the very last moments. The wind howls as this giant-sized canoe that the Frost Giants called Punts gets pulled into a strong current. You look behind, and finally, Vardberg is drifting away in the distance. Just 9 figures sitting in this punt through the endless torrent of ice and snow. Your body aches as from the hard-fought battle. It's been 2 months now since you've left the warmth of Nightstone. Way south. You're more north than you could ever imagine you would have been. You're more north than many folk can even say they've ever been. And as the view starts panning up miles and miles above you guys, we have this camera angle looking down at the ship as it starts to shrink, and we start flying up into the gray sky. We look below, and there's just this inescapable feeling of isolation, as in this absolutely massive horizon of white, you see one tiny minuscule fleck that is your punt. In the infinite canvas of white, you guys are truly alone in this northern territory. We zoom back down. The boat bouncing off the craters, the icebergs, the cool wind still blowing at your Yeti coats. What is everybody doing?
Probably telling.
Octavius is taking his golden goose coin that he's collected from the day that his the high priest was murdered, and he's basically slowly filed off the edges of one of the parts of the coin into a sharp edge, and he's sitting there slowly cutting his upper forearm, watching himself bleed, and then saying prayers to Ilmater to see if he can get it to stop. Just continually doing that over and over again.
And I'd say that Sunlit is sitting probably closest to him, and she's got the sleeves on her Yeti coat pulled up a little bit so she can see the brand new white fur which adorns her body, and looking at the black spots and maybe just pointing to them and just very confused of why she was chosen to be the way she is. And she looks up to to Octavius, maybe even as he cuts himself again. Why do you do that? I've noticed over time that you seem to have a bit of masochism in yourself. Why does your God tell you to do that?
Octavius would look over at the sunlit, and while he was staring at her in the face, he would take his thumb and press it into the cuts on his forearm and slowly start to draw heart and blood on his chest and just say, it is just part of my new beliefs. Everything I've been reading is saying that it'll help me strengthen the way that in which I suffer to help the people around me. And you just kind of have this weird smile as he finished drawing this half-shapen heart on his chest.
I think I understand. Whatever. Corey knows the word. Leave me alone, Mary. And she just kind of looks at you all puzzled, not even off put by the fact that you drew the heart on your chest, but so now I died, right?
Bjornhilda, standing next to you, would say, "No, great Scavella, you did not die. You were put in a challenge with death himself. And you
Yeah, and I think
left the
I
hunter."
saw the goddess Lathander with. I can only guess, as I was being taught by Heinrich back in Waterdeep, that there's Suine and her sister, and I think they sent me back. And now my fur's white, and that's never happened to. I don't even know if that's ever gonna happen.
"It is because you are Scavella Bzimne Zavira. Praise." She looks to the rest of the boat to like join in this cheer.
What does that mean?
She would point at her coat that she wears, and it's like one of those Craig cats that you guys faced off against before. And basically it roughly translates to Great Winter Tiger. She doesn't really know how to comprehend or say that to you, but
yeah. Would she tell us that it kind of, or does she? Or
she would try to communicate it, like I guess as basic as she could, but like she doesn't directly. Her common's pretty not the best.
So it's stripes on her coat, and I have spots.
Yeah, no. So she has like just a pure white Craig cat's fur coat as like instead of a Yeti coat. Right. So she kind of points at that to like signify that
are there spots?
There, I think you said that there's white with black spots on you still, right?
Yes, that it just kind of flips.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Wherever the black was became white, and then the spots stayed black.
Mm-hmm.
But
But he's gone. He's just gone. He couldn't handle it anymore. Lost in just the computer confusion.
That she has purpose for me now.
Never mind.
You like disconnected there, Corey, and
did it really?
Yeah. So
am I
you
back?
was gone for like here. 5 seconds.
You went on the great hunt once more.
I did. I died again. I'm sorry, and that was some really good RP there for like a half a second. But anyways, she basically what I said was, I talked about the fact that I have spots and it looks like she has stripes on her coat. But I think that when we get back to Bryn Shanders, I really want to go to the temple with you, Octavius, because Lathander is really talking to me now, and she's so different.
If you guys were to look back at Octavius,
she hasn't taken
the red heart that he drew a second ago is now basically a perfect etched yellow rose in his chest.
That's a cool trick.
I've heard about
He wouldn't have
people
even
with
noticed.
those kind of tattoos.
Whoa, I think it actually did like shut everything off because whoa, that's really weird. I have all different like the chat of Mary making fun of the fact that I said masochism doesn't exist anymore, and the first thing I have now is the RP Ginger thing that you just put up. Weird. But anyways, yeah. So I mean, she's definitely professing the fact that she's feeling a little bit more spiritual to you, Octavius, and that she wants to go to the temple with you.
As you say that, Harshnag kind of speaks up from the back as he's like gently using one of the oars to navigate through one of the currents, and he looks and says, "I don't know if we'll make it back to Bryn Shanders. The heart of winter is coming. If we're caught out here, we might not leave this place until the Great Thaw. I think it's best that we just take the main current out to the Sea of Swords and wrap around the coastline. We have maybe a 10-day before the temperatures drop way lower than they are now. At that point, the sea of moving ice will continue to move, but the icebergs, like that mountain over there, he points, and there's one of these giant mountain-sized icebergs, will start to consume more and will become part of it, unable to escape it. We will lose our vessel. I think it's best that we just take one of these fast-moving currents and see where it takes us."
Sounds like an adventure.
At which point, hours have now passed, Warrendale. And you notice that the giant Jolly Roger that you stole from the Krigvind, the Warwind, Jarl's prized ship, you start to tune into the arcane weave that controls this obviously magic item, and it now will form to basically how you want it to. So there's now once carpet size, like 10 foot, 15 foot long flag turns into what for you, Warrendale?
Does it fall under, so quickly read the description, does it have to be like the armor or clothing bit, or is it anything?
Okay, so the armor and clothing bit is actually like a ritual you perform to basically amalgamate it into something else. But for now, it will basically take the form of like a cloak or maybe like a bandana of some kind or anything that you want, really.
Yeah, his last one was a bandana, so that's probably what he would swap it over again. So it looks basically he lost his bandana and he got it back. It's same exact. It was a Jolly Roger before, so yeah, you guys would see this large, huge carpet Jolly Roger flag thing shrink down, and he just kind of ties it around his head, Rambo style, and kicks back and puts his feet up.
Has these blue glowing like giant runes on it as it does, and you start to control it. And then as you wrap it around your head, these blue runes that are the word Vind, which is giant for wind, start to slowly fade away the blueness into like a pale kind of gray. You now obviously pretty much understand everything that it can do. So that's probably quite a bit of stuff. But
yeah, I gotta finish reading later.
Harshnag would say something along the lines of, "I don't know if at the current speed that we're currently at, if we'll even make it out of here before the Great Freezing begins."
Well, Harshnag, are you talking to Warren, sorry?
Well, I was generally just talking to all of us.
Octavius, why don't you go stand at the head of the bow there for just a moment?
Okay.
Just put your hands out. Enjoy the wind.
Oh, I can feel it going through my hair.
Warren will come up and wrap his arms around Octavius and give him a hug. And put this, will this double the speed? Do I have to attach it to the boat, or does it just, do I make it do its thing?
So it's pretty much up to how you want to flavor it, to be honest with me. However you see it. I just see it as you taking control of the wind, however you want to flavor that.
Yeah, that perfectly works anyway. I can also help control the wind, so I'll just push it directly behind the sails. Octavius, you need to stand there. You're acting as a pinpoint for the wind, so just stand here for a while, and I'll let you know if you can get down. back and take a seat.
If
A little to the
Octavius
left.
felt,
A little to the left. A little to the left.
would there be any surge of speed at all?
You tell me, is there, Warrendale?
What's that?
Is there a surge of speed as he gets into that perfect position after you toy with him for a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Finally, he's
Well,
standing there.
certainly. It does about doubles the speed or so, and you can feel the wind's buffing up a little bit. You know, let my hair flow out behind me a little.
That would exhilarate Octavius. It would be almost sexual for him. He would feel as though Warren somehow is channeling extra power through him, and like Octavius is now like having a very good time at the front of the. He ain't moving. He's
Would you
staying in
see-
that exact same position, just loving every second of it.
Would you say that it feels like he's flying?
Almost feels like he's naked.
Let the wind blow through your pubes, Octavius.
Jesus.
Right.
So the ship, as Warrendale clearly uses some kind of like sleight of hand magic, the boat does seem to start doubling in speed, to which everyone actually momentarily has to like grab on for. And now you're borderline like not necessarily like speed boating through it, because obviously you would wreck the ship, but you're moving at a much quicker pace, which is definitely going to help. From there,
I
we're
got a
gonna
quick question for that.
question out.
Yeah, so Octavius at the bow of the ship, afraid to almost move because not really realizing that Warrendale's controlling this flag, that he basically forgot the powers of the flag, but feeling like he was the reason that the ship's moving so fast. He wouldn't move a single muscle, but he would yell back to Harshnag, "Hey Harshnag, since we have a couple of minutes, is there anything you can tell us about the Worm Skull Throne?"
The Worm Skull Throne. Let's see if Harshnag knows about it. Harshnag. Does he have any history? He does not. He did not roll very high, so he would say that it rings a bell. Something that I think King Hecaton sat upon. Correct?
Yes, we've heard a few things about it, but you're one of the only other giants I've had the luxury of asking, so I figured I'd give it a shot.
I'm sorry, I do not know more. With that, you start rocketing through the sea of moving ice. Bjorn Hilda tells you, Great Scavella. I guess that's basically calling you Great. Scavella Zimne Zavira. She would call you every time. I don't know if that gets annoying to you or if you're digging it, but she literally just calls you that every time.
Every time she says it, she gives her like an awkward look, like, "Are you talking to me?"
But she would tell you that it is a great honor to serve you. I hope that you will provide many great hunts. And if you do, I promise to bring great honor to you, Scavella Zimne Zavira. I will hunt with you till the day I die.
Okay.
I only hope that if I do well under you, Scavella, that you will provide a strong enough male servant. One of those might do to help me rebuild my population.
One of these.
And she
One.
points at Octavius, Warren, and I guess Cyric and Sir Barrick, and she's just kind of talking to you. She says, "Do you have any stronger ones? None of these would be fit to be my servant.
You're absolutely correct.
But if that's all you have, Scavella, I will not be disappointed. As long as they can handle me, I want to birth very many children and rebuild my tribe."
No, she's just a large human, right? She's not barbarian. She's not.
She is a very large northern girl, but she is human. But compared to the other men of the party, she probably looks pretty giant. She's she's not like a hideous woman, but she definitely looks strong. Like you wouldn't want to fuck with her.
Like, okay, so I'm 6'3". Is she as tall as I am?
Yes, I think she might even be taller. To be honest, I think she's 6'4".
Okay, cool. Well, And she kind of gets a little bit in close to her. The only one I think that might be really strong is the big guy. But yeah, I'll keep. Are you asking me to be your matchmaker?
No, I am asking the great Severa to provide a worthy male servant for me to repopulate my tribe. I have lost many in aiding you
Yeah,
in the
like
war.
everybody. I'm really sorry about that.
It is okay. It is an honor. My men and women who died in your honor have went to the Great Plains to hunt for all eternity.
And when she says the Great Plains, we're gonna have a homework little assignment thing here. This is gonna come in right now. She thinks back to when she was in Mazteca, and that's the exact same thing that the Tabaxis call where Tabaxi go when they pass on. And she thinks of her grandmother, who also was a monk, and the reason that she is a monk. And she thinks of the first day that she ever really noticed what her grandmother did. Her grandmother was a golden with tiger striped tabaxi, and she had this ability to move at a lightning pace, even when in her old age. And she just remembers being able to see this old woman just do things way faster than everybody else could. And her fondest memory of that whole thing is there was one time that she was, just a cub at the time, and just as cubs do, they like to throw things on the ground, and she would catch every single one of them, and it became a game. And Sunlight just remembers laughing very hard at that, watching her grandmother catch these things before they touch the ground.
As you're remembering this moment, you see that Bjornhilde has started to walk against the boat, and she's walked up behind Octavius and is now like sniffing him as he's standing, basically thinking that he's the wind behind the ship. There's icicles now starting to like build up on his arms, and she goes and like squeezes his biceps. Seems like pretty disappointed by it, and looks at his face in front of him, goes back.
I would not move, but I would offer a small smirk.
She would then kind of march over to Warrendale, grab him by like the scruff of his coat and pick him up, and actually like probably pick him up off his feet unless he like really tried to like fight it. And he's like kind of sitting in the arm. She just looks and like definitely gives him a head shake, drops him back down.
No. It's not about the strength. It's about how you use it.
She looks at you again. I would break you in two. Maybe even
like
three.
That would be even better. We should give it a run one of these days.
We don't need two of him, please.
Shut up, kitty cat.
She stares at you for a moment and then kind of gives like a smirk, like maybe she will snap you in three. But nonetheless, carries on. We kind of now start to fast travel. A couple days go by, and something that happens at the end of every night, for the most part, Harshnag would kind of volunteer to stoically take most of the watches, since he's the main ship kind of steerer, and then maybe like rest during the day. But every time sunlit, as you begin to fall asleep in the cold night, you start to experience these horrible dreams. The first one started off with you back in the deep water when you saved Warrendale. Only this time, when you went to like deeper into the water, he wasn't there. And then as you looked up, the light below you, above you, was also not there. Just pure darkness. And every night for 3 nights, you keep having these more and more terrible dreams about the water, and you just maybe chalk it up to your fear of water. Maybe you didn't overcome it as much as you thought. But nonetheless, you wake up every morning feeling cold and very wet.
But she's not physically wet.
Maybe a bit damp actually, but maybe that's just because you're on the ocean.
Out in the open. Every morning after she has that dream, she falls to her knees and she prays with her weapon in her hands to Lathander to take away these nightmares. And thing that she keeps saying in her head over and over and over again, and it feels like it's been something that's been given to her. She says, "I feel like this is the radiance of the dawn." Is that correct, Lathander? You said that to me. Is this now the radiance of the dawn? And she holds the weapon in her hand just so tight, as tight as she possibly can.
As you do that, we're gonna say, let's go to our map here and see how many days actually are gonna pass by you guys without a lot happening. Thanks to Warrendel's handy dandy pennant, you actually make pretty good leeway. And as you pass 3 days, actually that's not what I wanted to say. As you pass the 4th day, you begin to actually leave the sea of moving ice behind, and it kind of starts to sail behind you. And you now open up into the massive sea of swords. Sir Beric and Belladora would tell you that we kind of are quite past Bryn Shanders now, but if we follow the coastline, we should come upon a mining city near the coastline called Fireshare. As you leave the sea of moving ice, though, and we approach closer and closer to the height of winter, it seems that cold winter breeze has followed you. And although you're not in like the Arctic anymore, it still is kind of like creeping behind you, and it feels like it hasn't quite left you. You've been at the ocean now. As days start whipping by, another 4, 5 past. You've been at sea in this canoe for a long time, following the coastline, and you watch as like ahead of you in the very far distance, there's not snow, but by the time you get to that distance, the snow has like been following you. As winter itself is kind of taking the coastline as you guys are sailing. Nighttime comes and the sky is crystal clear. You see millions upon millions of stars above you. The moon is just in full, beautiful, glowing yellow, looking down and completely illuminating the sea as it's calmly kind of flowing against the coastline, the craggy rocks to your east. And as you're sitting there in the night, you begin to hear Bjornhilda start listing off names. It seems like you don't really know what she's saying, but she would say something like Skolvad, Trogdong, Excavella, and then go into like what seems like almost a prayer of some kind. Is Octavio still standing there?
I would have eventually told him.
Hopefully, after the 4th or 5th day, Warren would have said something. But Octavius, now, I would say 10 to 12 nights after he's received the ring, and every night Octavius feeling as though he needs to offer reparations to his god, he's been trying to do the rituals of the ring, and the rituals of the ring every night as Octavius tries to show Ilmater that he's suffering enough. Is it Ilmater? God, I can't even remember my own damn god right now.
It is Ilmater. Actually, I forgot about that. I apologize. Yeah, that's the thing. Well, let's actually backtrack because that's a very important thing. We haven't experienced our first night with the ring. So what does it actually look like? Your very first night as you pray?
The very first night, as Octavius prays, he would again take out the leather strop that he's been using, and he would start to strike at his back. Now, unfortunately, the ring states that I have to take quite a bit of damage every night. So as Octavius would be striking himself across the shoulders, he would realize slowly that it wasn't enough, and he would continue harder and faster, trying to whip himself over across the shoulders with this small leather strap, feeling as though he's just not reaching a quota that has been set by something he can't understand. And as the first half an hour and 45 minutes went by, and he's just continually lashing and lashing himself, and now blood is freely pouring down his back and pooling up against his waistcloth. He would feel as though he's just not managing to hurt himself enough, and basically it would take like 5 or 6 hours. And
Give me a religion check.
Okay.
That's actually what you need to do as you're trying to test and see. Let's see if it actually is enough or if it's not enough, and go from there.
Religion.
It's a pretty high DC. DC 20. Impressive.
There's a 20.
So explain what that looks like as you actually do.
So after about 5 hours of whipping and bleeding, and now welts are continually bruised after being opened, Octavius would just basically finally, after 5 hours, have this rush of euphoria come over him. And instead of anything else happening, he would just fall forward and face plant into the ground and pass out until the morning. And he would wake up hopefully fully healed.
You would wake up completely healed, feeling good as new.
So after the 10th or 12th day now, Octavius has had to increase the severity of his punishment, of his nightly punishment. This ring demands a nightly suffering from Octavius. And at this point, as you would watch Octavius take off his armor to get prepared for his nightly suffering, you would see that his back and his arms, his forearms, his parts of his chest, and even parts of his stomach now would have large lacerations, bruises, cuts, swollen, bloody welts. And as he takes off the top part of his armor, you would see that to help himself prepare for the suffering, Octavius has actually donned a series of probably 10 to 20 fish hooks on his back that he continually wears around now. Once his armor is off, he would start applying small weights to the lines in between these fish hooks, and that would be the beginning of his preparations to fulfill the nightly suffering for Ilmater. And then he would move on with a continual bundle of leather straps that he's been devising over the course of the last 2 weeks, almost built into a cat of nines now. And Octavius would slowly, at the bow of the ship, start striking himself across the lower back region, the sides, and the stomach region to hopefully open new skin and fulfill the suffering.
So as Octavius does this. Oh, who am I echoing off of now? Corey. As Octavius does this, no, not Corey. The heck. Anyways, as Octavius does this sickening kind of ritual that you guys have to endure every time, one thing that is important to notice, Dan, is that most of the wounds do actually heal at the beginning of every day. The god is not cruel enough to not foresee this and help you out, so you're not this scarred, disgusting mess. Nonetheless, the night has taken, and so Bjornhilda is going over, or Bjornhilda, she's going over these names one after another, and then looking to the sky and kind of holding her hands out and just almost like she's releasing something. She's speaking in her native language. If you're saying something, Corey, you're on mute. Or you're not saying anything. So as you guys, is no one saying anything?
I think
Yeah,
he was.
Octavius
No,
would
I
know.
was going to say something, but that's all right.
All right.
Yeah, as she's doing this, seeing that she sees her as her deity or something, and she'd just be like, "Who are those people?
She would nod.
They're the fallen comrades that you talked about from back at the Giants there."
She would nod again. Yes.
Are you praying to them?
She would shake her head no, and she would tell you, Scavella, you do not know what today is, what this night means. Look at the moon. Look how beautiful it is.
Yeah, that's Selene that makes that moon.
And this day is special, for this day is the feast of the moon.
And she looks at her puzzled. Doesn't know what that means.
Harshnag would kind of pipe in then and say, since you're not actually from around here, most of you actually that are actually from around here would probably know what Feast of the Moon is, but Harshnag would explain that it is a day when the winter truly begins and the nights start to lengthen. It is a day where we honor our dead. We tell stories to Saloon of our ancestors and our loved ones as a tribute for all that she does to guide lost souls to the afterlife. Our friend here is offering stories of her loved ones to Saloon as a thank you for guiding their souls.
Oh,
Olivia would perk up and would probably make mention just like, I'd be up for hearing one.
Then Harshnag, as weird as it is, for the first time kind of looks a bit nervous. And he's like, oh, well, I guess I could maybe tell like a story about Bryn. And he's just actually like, it's weird to see this giant, like stoic, brave man struggling. But Livy, you can just tell that he's uncomfortable, and he's like trying to go through and stumbling over it. And at what point he's like, well, have you heard of one of the times where Rin actually got us out of trouble?
She just gives a little chuckle like, yeah, one time there's easily a dozen, but and just kind of looking around like they've been traveling along the coast, right? And so
Yes.
they've gone past various cliffs and such, and you're like that one time when Simber actually convinced you to climb that cliff face. Oh goodness, it was. Grandpa always said it was about 1,500 feet, and Simber was just goading you on, saying he could outclimb you and whatnot. And it's just like this icy cliff that he looked at you both and was like, he has the nuts to try and climb that. But he just couldn't let Simber get away with all his trash talk. And so, yeah, you both set off climbing up this 1,500-foot cliff, and about, goodness, 8 or more hours go by, and he is now watching this something falling down, and it turns out to be you and Simber. I don't think he ever said how you guys slipped or whatnot, but anyways, he sees you guys falling, and lucky you guys that he knows how to cast Featherfall and such, and he was able to save your life that way. And so must have been quite the rush, I'd say, but yeah.
He laughs, and he would say that Aaron would tell it that way. I suppose that's best, though. And then he kind of looks up to the moon, and he would say that Although it was many times that we all did not get along. Simber and Aaron, Simber and me and Simber, there were many times when we were at each other's throats. But there was many more times when we were always at each other's backs. Those two men were very important to me, and they helped me grow to who I've become today. I'm very thankful for Rin. He was a great man. And then he looks to the moon as if he's offering something up. You swear that you see a single glisten from his right eye.
Probably a snowflake, but
Definitely a snowflake, he would tell you.
I wouldn't brush that off.
She would look as Bjornhilda finishes up her stories. She would look to the rest of the group as like, just expectingly that like, it's your turn now to pray if you wanted to, and if you had somebody that you wanted to offer a story to Saloon to make sure that their soul passed safely, or that they're as thanks for letting their soul pass safely, now would be the time to tell a story.
Octavius would look around sheepishly, hoping somebody else would want to go first, but you would have a story too.
Livy, if you let her, she'll just go on forever.
So Livy breaks the ice by telling countless stories of Rin. Saloon is like so thanked by Livy for her storytelling. Corey or Sunny preemptively offered her story to Saloon a couple days back.
Yeah, I kind of blew my load in that. Sorry, guys. But she would probably go on to have more stories about her grandmother who she idolized, and she calls her Golden. She never tells you the rest of the name.
Does Octavius go, or does Warrendale have something? I imagine it's a standoff between the grumpy old man and the sheepish Octavius. Who breaks the ice?
Warren stare across Octavius. He can see the man has a story, but then I can see our friend here has a bit of whipping to do while I whip up the story. So you do your thing, Octavius. I'll tell you just a short tale about one of the greatest people I've ever met. I'm not personally the most likable person, but I've met a lot of pleasant people in my life. Parents left when I was young, but I hopped from house to house, church to church, bridge to bridge. But there's one person who always stuck in the back of my mind. And when he told me a tale about when he was a child. He was an avid hunter, liked to go out and, they call it, fetch the turkeys at the Yuletide time. He was a big turkey hunter. And he was out on the fields one day, and across the way he saw a large turkey, one of the biggest, fattest turkeys you could imagine, perfect for the Yule dinner. And he said he went out across that field and he broke his bow. So he figured he would tackle this turkey. It was a lame, fat turkey anyway. He could handle the thing. But turkeys are dangerous creatures. Don't be worried. Suni is, I'm sure she knows all about turkeys. And Brunhild too. But he grabbed a hold of that turkey and it pecked his eye, pecked his cheek. Warren will kind of scratch his cheek for a moment. It was a crazy time for what this man would say. He was eventually tackled this turkey and brought it back for dinner, had a great feast with all of his friends and family underneath the bridge that he lived under. Not too long ago, he died. It was a heartbreaking moment for me, if you can believe. I even shed a few tears. Now, I understand you all might not think that a man like myself would cry over the death of somebody, but you have to understand, this man, his name was Warren there. Not too long ago he passed away, but he's a bastard fighter and he come back, you know.
Wait. Isn't your name Warrendale?
Sure is, Sonny.
Is that your papa?
What? No, I tackled the turkey, you dumbass. I died. Don't you remember I died? I'm trying to tell the story of the greatest man I ever met. It's me, duh. You think I would pick somebody else?
And
Belladora. There's an audible like face palm as Belladora puts her face into her palms.
She
I would clearly honor myself.
Sonny just looks at the whole group with just a shocked face that this most narcissistic person that she's ever met in her whole life was able to do it again. Even on this day. Right, Warren? Even on this day.
They have to honor the dead, and that's the best I could offer. I mean...
But you breathed. You died for like a minute. So did I. Just like, a few days ago.
Don't worry. Don't ruin my story, you damn cat. Just tell yours.
I thought you were getting...
Octavius, don't you have something to say? Don't you have a story?
Octavius would have been completely enthralled by Warren's story, and just the look of amazement on his face is truly priceless. You could tell that Octavius really believed that Warren was talking about somebody that he cared about.
I care more about myself than anybody.
So Octavius would shuffle side to side, and his face would get a little bit red. And then he would start telling about the story about the first time he met the high priest at the temple in Yaktir. Or at least the first time that Octavius could remember meeting him. It was a beautiful sunny day, and Octavius was in the gardens reading. He was sitting around with a couple of the students that he usually, got along really well with, because Octavius was, really well known for getting along with all the people at the temple. And it was when they were all children, and Octavius was sitting around reading, and he was trying to tell all the other students about how important it was and how to properly organize all of their shoes and their clothes and their closets and their beds. Octavius is really making a great day out of it. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this larger boy came over and he sat down beside Octavius. And I don't think he really saw me when I was sitting there, but he kind of bumped me over, and it must have been an accident because nobody really noticed. But Octavius found himself underwater. He fell backwards into the pond that he was sitting beside, and somehow, some reason, for no apparent, fault of his own, this boy ended up sitting on top of Octavius's head, and for some reason, Octavius couldn't pull his head out from underneath the water, and he understood it must have been a mistake. But the next thing he knew, his eyes opened, and there was the high priest of Yaktir. Looking down on Octavius, and he had two of his hands on Octavius's chest. And when Octavius's eyes opened, all the students around and all the other people at the temple were cheering. And when Octavius opened up his eyes, the cheers kind of started calming down into a quiet rumble. And Octavius looked up into the eyes of the high priest, and the high priest said, "Oh, Octavius, you must have fallen in the pond. It probably wasn't that you were annoying any of the other students at all." And that day, the high priest took Octavius in, and he never really had to spend any other time with the students. And you just kind of got to sit and read, and that was Octavius's favorite time. So he really wanted to celebrate the high priest and on how nice he was, and on just giving Octavius the opportunity to study and to be alone was just a really great time. Since he got along with all the other students, they must have felt bad, not being able to keep up to Octavius's awesomeness. So that was just a really great day in Octavius's life, and he really wanted to say thanks to the High Father.
Barrick gives you a pat on the back and says, "That's a great story, Octavius." He too would offer up a story of the fellow knights that served with him in the God of Tyr. Belladora would say she doesn't believe in that junk. she didn't have anyone that she cares about anyways. And Sirik would offer up a story about his mother, Alessandra, and how she would always tell him of the city that she's from, this beautiful, warm, jungle-like city called Mazzaro. And she would always tell him about how there's these crazy beasts that are called dinosaurs, and that they're these scaly reptiles that rival the size of even dinosaurs, and that the Mazzaro people would be able to tame them and use them like we use horses and stuff. And Sirik would always say that he used to love the stories that his mother told him, and that she said that one day he would bring him there, but she never came back, and kind of trails off. But he just looks up and thanks for all the warm stories that kept me going through the cold nights. And with that, the Feast of the Moon is kind of over. Everyone has their tributes said to Saloon, the most of which gracefully taken is obviously Warrendale's.
He'll reach over to Sonny and tap her on the back, point up to the sky. You see that star there, the bright one, a little bit to the left? I think that's my star.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Is that where you're from?
No, that's a bit of my soul there.
Oh. Wonderful.
Bjornhela looks up and that shines very brightly.
Well,
Yes, it does, my lady.
he definitely thinks he's the most important thing on this.
Like I said, it's not all about the strengths.
Nonetheless, the night comes to a close. You all kind of go to your night's rest. Everyone can have a point of inspiration if you're not already maxed out at 3. So mark that off on your character sheet. Nighttime comes. You're told that any day now you should arrive at Fireshear's coast and be able to see it. But on this particular night, sunlit, the dreams come to you worse than they ever have. You're again in complete black, endless depths of water. And you're just swimming as hard as you can for what seems like an eternity. And you're waiting. It's that cusp moment where you just know you're about to run out of breath and you can't hold your breath any longer, but you're just stuck at that phase. It's absolutely excruciating as your lungs just burn in your dreams and you're swimming, trying to get out of this horrible void of blackness. And then you feel a presence behind you. The worst feeling, just your insides sink. You stop swimming and you turn around. All you see is blackness, but you know there's something there. Something massive. Perhaps it's this entire blackness around you. This entity is the void, perhaps. And then 2 massive yellow eyes appear before you. They're staring at you. They're looking into you. They're waiting for you. Doesn't say anything.
Sunlit instinctively takes a deep breath in through her nostrils.
As you do, you feel to what you think is the sensation of literally breathing in water. And it's at that point that it starts to feel like you're actually starting to drown.
And
you feel something now around your neck and it's crushing your windpipe. And then you realize it's not only your neck, it's your entire body. You're wrapped in something and it's just squeezing the life out of you. And it's pulling you downwards into this empty void, further away from where you want to be, further away from the light. This is the exact opposite in every single way of that experience you had with Lathander. You don't know why this would be happening to you. It's absolutely horrifying. You try to yell out, why? What do you want from me? You don't hear a voice per se. but it's in your, or there's nothing spoken, I guess I'm trying to say, but you hear it in your head. This voice that I can't even try to mimic. It's so low and almost maddening to hear. And it says that we are coming. You will join us. And you wake up in the middle of the day. And as you do, you cough out water.
And he took it right out of my mouth. Yeah, and she's just coughing and coughing. And she just leans over the side of the boat and it just, not vomiting, but just more water than you would ever think could even come out of a person when they just woke up. And she kind of looks up, and I imagine the first person that she makes a gaze of is Bjornhilda.
Yeah, she's at your back, like patting you. She looks panicked. She doesn't know what's going on. Give me a wisdom save.
Yeah. Oops, wrong tab. Sorry. Not a terrible thing for her. Yeah.
You are able to fight off the sickening feeling that you're being watched. But nonetheless, you cough it out.
She remembers all that, right?
Oh yeah, it sticks in your mind, and the burning sensation of like coughing out water and almost drowning is very real. The water you're coughing out, the shocking amount of water you're coughing out is horrifyingly real.
Yeah. So after she's breathing really deep, and she looks up at Bjornhilda, and I know that I'm supposed to be something to you that I don't understand. But I've, the last couple of evenings, been being stalked by a creature that I don't understand. I'm not crazy, am I?
Bjornhilda spins around and actually pulls out her axe, and she points it at you, Warrendale. Says, "You. This is your dark magic. What do you do to Scavella Zemnezavira?"
I put the charm on her. She'll be okay. It's okay.
She reaches up and grabs you by your neck, lifts you off the ground, choking you.
Put him down, Bjornhilda.
Perhaps I like to be choked.
Then throw him in the water.
She chucks you in the water.
I think I can swim. Maybe. Not very good, but a little bit.
Splash! Warrendale goes into the water. Harshnag would fish you out.
Wait, that was bad.
I was gonna sew her off next time.
And after he's in the boat, Sonny would walk over to Warrendale and go, I think she's got my back. Right? Is that what you called it once?
She clearly has a thing for me.
Yeah.
What's everybody else doing as they just witnessed Sunlight puking up water like she just drowned it, basically?
And her bodyguard at this point, I guess, threw Warrendale in the water.
Octavius is regretting that he didn't take control water as a 4th level spell so he could put all that water right back into Sunny.
That's not very nice.
Clearly you're dehydrated.
Exactly. I don't want you to have a problem. Octavius would just be mystified. He would listen to Sunny and he would start putting together that doesn't sound like something the Thunder would do. And he would just start thinking about it. He wouldn't say anything, but he would start to try to solve the enigma that is Sunny's dream.
So does Sunny have the amulet? Is like
the lens, the Oracle's lens? No, that's gone.
No.
Okay, that's what McCollum stole. Okay, so I thought.
Do you want to do a check, anybody, or anything?
I was going to say I would do an Arcana check, but I'm not sure what he would even see that would even give him an idea to do that. So
give it a
I'll
check
do
and we'll see what you roll. And Dan, what do you
I'll
want to
do a
roll?
religious one if I can.
Okay.
Yeah, what I would like to do to be able to maybe give him Dan an advantage is that she would explain exactly what she saw in the dream with the black eyes, with the yellow eyes and everything.
Yep.
And ask him if he knew of anything from his vast reading.
All right, go ahead and roll it, and I'll say Dan can roll at advantage since you're getting aided by to your description.
I think, especially Livy being there too, listening to this, I'm going to roll a history just to see if maybe anything from the lore side of things might come up.
Go ahead and give that. Everyone's doing a little check.
No.
Dan or Octavio, sorry. With that, you are 100% astutely right that is not a vision from Lathander. That is something dark and very ominous. The darkness and water and drowning, that is essentially the polar opposite of Lathander. So religion-wise, you can definitely confirm that, which isn't extremely helpful. Warrendale, what exactly, just to see what we're going here, you rolled well, but what exactly are you doing Arcana-wise? Are you checking her over, or...
Yeah, or maybe looking at any sort of, like, on the Arcana side of rituals or curses or that sort of thing, maybe, because she doesn't have any magical trinkets of any sort that I think would really do it.
So perfect. As you're actually looking her over, you see a weird, almost scar-looking thing on her back. And as you kind of pull away the Yeti coat and look down, you would see that it's actually kind of like starts at the back of her nape and then goes down around like her neck, but deep enough that the Yeti coat was covering it, so it's not easily apparent. And you would see what looks like these circular scars all around her neck. And after you pointed out, Sonny, I imagine that you wouldn't let Warrendale keep going, but you would see that they kind of actually start wrapping around your body too.
Did you have these before? Muted, Corey.
Sorry, I was coughing just a moment ago. I didn't have any of this appearance before you saw me. It was mostly a black cat. And
I
now
didn't
look, I have
look
all
under
this
your
white fur.
clothes. I didn't furry ladies.
You see Warrendale with a 19, actually, that there seems to be like something almost like scabbed under her skin. And it's like you could rip it out if you wanted to, but it definitely seems like there's something almost like buried under her skin at the back of her neck. You suspect that it would hurt if you did rip it out of her.
Hopefully he would get the cleric.
Well, might just be a bit of mange, but looks like you have a bit of something here on your back. I could have it ripped out for you in no time, but perhaps Octavius would be better suited for such surgical maneuvers. If you trust him.
I certainly don't trust you.
Do you
want to go swimming again?
Do you want me to help you?
Yeah.
Or do you want to keep having these dreams?
What do you want to do, Octavius? I say Vicar. Bjorn Hilda like stands up behind Sunlit. And then Warrendale you realize that this newest member of the party is gonna be a thorn in your side for sure. It's like Bjorn Hilda quickly stands up behind Sunny and just like looking at you like she's gonna throw you in the water again.
I'll smile and give her a wink. She'll come to my charms eventually.
What do you want to do, Octavius?
Octavius would get up in the middle of all of this and start slowly and gently, with all due respect, trying to examine the back of Sunlit in a way that would make her feel comfortable and not anxious. And while I was examining it, is there any way that I would be able to do a basically, I'm going to tell you what I'd like to do. I would like to, like, Octavius's first initial reaction is to take this upon himself. And with the Ring of Suffering, I have Ill Matter's Burden, which allows me to transfer disease or sickness. So I would like to do a check to see if I think that would work on
Medicine
this.
check for sure is what this would be then.
And then whatever else a medicine check gets me while I'm doing all that at the same time.
All right. So with that, it doesn't seem like any disease or sickness. You're also proficient enough to, with that 24, it's actually like pretty extraordinary. You could easily remove whatever's under her skin without causing her any pain. It maybe just be a bit discomfort, but it doesn't seem like a sickness.
I'd like to ask Sunlit if she would allow me to do that. That would explain what's going on, what I see. Very like first responder kind of, this is what's going on, this is what I see. Am I allowed to touch you? Type thing.
And she looks up to Bjornhilda. I trust him. He's okay. Keep an eye on the other one, though.
She nods.
Yeah, then I would like to remove it.
You easily do, and you kind of like momentarily go under her skin and you pick at something, and it's very tangible feeling, like almost like a rock or something's underneath her skin near the back of her neck, and you start to pull it out, and you pull out, at first it's pretty disgusting and sticky looking, and then you look at it, it looks like a rock. You shake it off, dip it into the cold water, and after you rinse it off, you see that it's like a seashell.
Seashell.
A seashell.
But it's like black and sickly looking.
I would like to do a am I allowed to continue to do checks on that? Can I do some form of history check maybe to see if through all the books Octavius has read and all the medicine books he's read, that if he's seen something like this in the past?
Go ahead.
Because I am proficient in reading and very proficient in medicine.
Yeah, give it a try.
And religion.
History, check it up.
But not very proficient in history.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm assuming he shows it to her, right?
Yeah.
Can I run a religion check and use Lathander as my guide to that?
You get a strong suspicion that this is out of the realm of your understanding for sure.
Okay.
So I would like to try to save it, pack it away. I don't want to toss it away. I want to save it, maybe show it to Warren, see if he has any black arts idea on what it might be, and then I'd like to put it away.
What I will give is Sunlit and I'm trying to think. Who was it? It was just Sunlit. Give me an investigation, Sunlit.
Yeah, I can investigate.
You might already know this in character or out of character, but I'll see if your character knows it. As you look at this seashell, you remember your altercation with Nilron. And as he pulled out his wand, you've seen his arm for a moment, and it was covered in these disgusting looking like barnacles and seashells also. And then you remember as he was going through his madness saying that his master was waiting for a way to find the Ring of Winter, and that you guys coming here and bringing a perfect way to find it, he's going to be so pleased. You remember him cutting into the back of your neck while he was talking, and it was like burning in and out of consciousness, but you do now remember him sticking something underneath your skin.
Yeah.
And he said, "We'll be coming for you shortly."
So, I think I have an idea actually what that might be. That wizard, Necron or whatever his name was. He stole the lens, but I think he put that on me, and he said that they'll be coming for me. And if I remember correctly from when we were arguing with him in the temple, isn't he a part of some group? Are they tracking us? I think we should throw that in the water.
If they are, now that we know that they're coming, we might have the upper hand. And he does have the amulet, so.
And we need that back. I'm sorry that I was so useless at that moment.
And
So
then
at
I'll
this
heal
moment,
Sunny.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I'll heal her wound back up just so that she's not bleeding or anything.
All right, and as you heal her, you see smoke in the sky. This kind of dark grayish smoke along the coastline. As you look down, only a few hundred yards away, you see what looks like igloos, tents, and small humanoid-sized wooden lodges.
Like,
As you
how small?
like your size, opposed to giant size, is what I was
Okay.
basically making a reference to. However, as you're sailing, you hear something bounce off the side of your boat, and as you look down, you see what looks like shipwreckage, broken cargo, and just an absolute mess kind of floating around in the sea. As you look at first, what you would have mistaken as campfire seems to be burning rubble or like embers that of what looks like the city has been attacked.
I know.
Familiar sight for a change.
Carnage.
Seems to
We
find
must
us
go see
everywhere.
if anyone needs our help.
My exact thoughts, Tavius. Livy would be scanning the water too, because I don't know, like, if there's that much debris out in the water, like, how close are we to the harbor?
There's not so much as a harbor as it is like one kind of small dock. And you don't know if maybe that's because whatever harbor they have was broken or whatnot, but there's a lot of like wreckage kind of floating around. Sorry.
I don't know. My head, Livy's head is going towards like a ship. Also, like if there was anyone on a boat nearby.
You do not see anyone kind of passively glancing around. You do not see a ship anywhere. Everyone, all aboard, kind of sitting inside to the sea because they want to get a perception check.
That's what I'm starting to grab right now.
Anyone that wants to do a perception check
Yeah, I'll
before
do
you.
perception.
Yeah.
All right.
But Octavius is still his first instinct is to go and help.
Yep. So we're perception checking as we start to zoom in.
I can tell you why hers is so long, so bad is that she's started to look through her pack, and she realizes that she has a wooden box, and she looks to Octavius and says, "Why don't we put that in here, and I'll hold on to it."
Sonny, if they were after you, I'd rather them meet up with someone other than you to maybe give them a surprise from the pain that they might be coming to inflict on you. Are you sure you don't want me to hold on to it?
And she kind of shushes you, and she goes, "I understand that you really like pain, but they're not gonna want to meet me if they
Then you would
come."
hand it over.
And she kind of gives you a devious smile.
All right. With an 18, Warrendale, you're the only one that sees this. Sorry. Got this tickle in my throat. The only reason I think you actually recognize it is one of the buildings are smashed and then kind of like made out of stone is a ruin that looks very similar to kind of the one that you've seen on the Krigvin, a giant rune. You don't necessarily know what it means, but being on the ship itself, you remember seeing a bunch of giant runes there, and you see that almost like kind of like a stamp of like, we've been here, is a giant rune that was stamped into the ground, like a boulder trying to chucked into our thing, and you're the only one that sees it as you're approaching.
I want to stand up, move to the front of the bow of the ship there next to where Harshnag is, kind of point across the way. Do you know what that is? See that? It looks like a large stamp or something in the ground there.
And that's to who, sorry?
Harshnag.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Octavius for some reason. He looks, and he would say that looks like the mark of my brother, Shofad. And at that point, you hear above you this screeching sound, just a ah! And then woof, something chucked through the air, And then in the side of Harshnag's shoulder, a spear sinks into the side of his arm. You look above, and there's this flapping feathered figure just zooms by and kind of in the crowd, or in the cloud, sorry. You're muted, Dan. Unless you're not trying to talk. Maybe you're trying
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
Octavius would automatically cast Sanctuary on Hirschnick. Because he is a dude that is a giant, and if this town was just attacked by giants, he wants Hirschnick to be safe from attack from this town.
Hey, what is everybody else doing? As you look around, I'm going to say that with a perception check, just keeping the ones that we have, Octavius and Warrendale, you see that above there's this figure flying around. Octavius, you can't quite make it out, but Warrendale, you mistake it. You do not mistake this for, it's definitely a griffin. And then it's coming in again, and it's diving, and it goes to throw another spear, but the sanctuary kicks off, and it can't, right? She failed her save.
Yep.
So she has to attack somebody else. And then Warrendale, the spear comes zipping at you instead, but goes into the side of the boat. You see this figure, this small, short figure riding on the back of a griffin. And again, does this loud kind of squealing, screeching noise as it rips by.
Sonny, wasn't that one of your friends before? Talk to the damn thing. Tell them we're your friends.
Those ones seem to be domesticated, and this one is trying to kill us. I suggest we get to the land, because I don't want to fall in the water again.
I'm assuming that you guys are kind of heading into land as all this is going on. Yeah. And as you kind of presume in, the figure comes back, and the griffin kind of like lands in front of you. Not lands, but like flaps its wings and kind of almost this hovering state as much as it can. It's just flapping in front of you. And you see on the back of it this small figure, this small girl, a dwarf, actually, a dwarven girl with these thick braided blonde hair and a kind of big bulbous nose, but a thick jawline. And she looks at you as she pulls out another spear on the back of this griffin that she's riding. It actually kind of reminds you of obviously when you were at Zephyros's castle. And she looks at you and says, "As captain of the retired Griffin Cavalry, I will not let any giants do any more damage to Firesiel. Leave at once. I will fight to the death, and I promise I will take one of you with me. You've done enough."
Olivia's just arms like, "No, this one's friend. This one is good. This one's on our side." I'm just trying to do her best to reason.
There's no such thing as a friendly frost giant. Look what they have done. As you're now in kind of like the harbor district, you see,
total of 8 for persuasion's gonna win.
You see that the city is an absolute shambles, and you see squashed bodies. You now see that the wreckage is ships that obviously were probably destroyed by the frost giants. She looks.
The girl tells the truth. This is hashtag.
Libby like looks to one. I was like, maybe we could persuade her that he's our captive or something. I don't know. It's just.
No. Let me talk to her. Young, beautiful lady. You must understand. This is our friend. He is actually quite. Well, he killed the man who did this. I mean, he already got your revenge. It is Hashnag the Great.
What are you talking about?
The name.
Are you captives or are you in alliance with this giant?
Well, we are in alliance, of course.
I don't think that was the right answer, Warren.
Shut up, kitty cat. Well, I'm in alliance with him. So are the rest of these. The cat is a little bit of a shallow story. But you must understand that the frost giants, they come through here and destroy this, but we've already taken care of them. We are just here to...
You must understand my skepticism. This seems like rather a far-fetched story. How do I not know that this is not another trick of the frost giants coming to finish us off?
This giant here was an outcast from those giants.
Like Livy would also start adding in like We come from Bryn Sanders, where frost giants have destroyed it. We know the pain that is going on here. This one is not involved.
Hearing Bryn Sanders, she would kind of mumble under her breath. So it is true. They have went that far north as well. And then...
How far are we away from the land?
Pretty close, about 60 feet, I'd say. She is imposing definitely in between you, though, and you see the powerful thrust of this griffin's wings kind of rippling the water around you. Does anyone... Hearing the name Harshnag, it seems like she kind of has heard that, but maybe not. Does anyone want to try to give another persuasion or anything else?
I will. I'm good at it.
All right. Give it advantage now that you've said Harshnag and talked about Bryn.
I don't know what the better one was. 10, 16 would be what I got.
She says, I have your word that this is not the trick.
You have my word and everybody else's as well.
What is your name?
Warren Deldergate.
And you said that you've dealt with the marauders that are Strovad and his frost giant horde.
We kicked their lily asses.
Harshnag speaks up and at this point says, yes, fine dwarf. You know, I have heard of the Griffin Cavalry of Waterdeep. Very brave. I have no doubt that if you were to fight with us today, that you would take down many. But I assure you that I am not in the same alliance as those frost giants. I am, like they say, in exile. I am Harshnag the Grim. And I am not here to hurt you or your people.
Wait. Are we near Waterdeep?
No.
She says that outward.
She says, no, you have fires here. I have retired many years ago and have come up here to... Well, I was training griffins. But when the giants came, all I have left now is Screecher. The griffin kind of comes back to the coastline. Come on in. But I warn you, I don't think the people will be too kind if they see you, Harshnag. They're very frightened right now. Many have died. The giants actually sealed most of our people in the mines. The 3 businesses that run this place, the leaders, are all locked below by giant boulders. Don't know if you know much about fires here. It is a mining city. It is run by 3 mining companies. Almost all of our population has either been destroyed by the giants or locked in the mines below. I was able to survive because of Screecher. When knocked unconscious, he carried me away. I came back to this.
We may be able to use Harshnag to move these boulders.
Are they...
What would work for giant relations?
Yeah, Harshnag agrees. Like, I could definitely... I could lift some boulders. To which, yeah, she'll let you in the city, and as you start to walk by, you do see that basically it's just like wooden planks kind of for walkways in this like wet, thick kind of icy mud now as winter has followed you guys in. Snow has started to lightly fall over this place. You see makeshift stoned igloos that have been smashed. You see tents that have been stuck into the ground by giant footprints. You see a lot of dead bodies of the poor miners who tried to fight back. And she walks you across the campsites to these 2 giant tunnels, that of which 2 massive boulders are stuck in front of. Harshnag steps up, and with a sizable amount of effort, he is able to move them. We can definitely take a short bio break if that is what we need to do. I guess it's been a while. So as we move them, pushing them aside, you see that there is a bunch of civilians on the other side. They're frightened. They look starved. They're wet. They're shivering, and they look absolutely terrified. You see dwarves. You see dragonborns. You see humanoids. You see all different kinds of races, these minor-looking people, frightened. And as the rock pulls aside, there's like a moment of relief and then followed by fear as they see Harshnag, to which the dwarven girl who has introduced herself as Deshara Keldabar, steps forth and says, "Do not worry. This is Harshnag the Glim. He has helped us." To which three people step up and go ahead, Octavius, and then we'll take a break.
Octavius would just step forward and say that he is the one who has killed Yarg Strolvag and brought temporary peace to the region from the Frost Giants.
Perfect. And then three figures step out and look to approach you. You see that one is a dwarf, one is a dragonborn, and one is a human. And they kind of are the most fancily dressed of the people. They don't look like miners. And it's at this point that we'll take a quick 5-minute break so that anyone that needs to go to the washroom can. And then we'll come back and try to get a little bit further if everyone can. Is everyone good to go a little bit further?
Yeah.
All right. So let's 5 minute, not even 5 minute break. Just go to the washroom, get a drink, and then we'll come back to it. Let's do it.
Sure.
I am back. But I don't know if anybody else is.
I am too.
Oh, yeah. We're not alone anymore.
I am here too.
How's Rickman?
Not too bad, man. It's been pretty good. Busy. Actually, I'm actually lying. I don't know why that's not busy. We're kind of in like a slow week this week, but that's all right because I've been quite sick and it was kind of nice not to get pounded while dying of sickness.
Fair enough.
What about you?
I'm off work now, man. So the last 2 working around the house.
Oh, yeah? I just like what, laid off because of the break or whatever?
Yeah, I guess summer's off.
Oh, yeah. Holy shit. It counts as summer already? You fucking suck.
April 13th was my date, and now I get like August 4th I go back.
Damn you. That must be nice.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man.
No doubt. Oh, how you been, Morgan? I've been so close to posting interest on that game you're running on Sunday, but it's around dinner time and I'm supposed to probably do things like
Pretty fucking awesome system, though, man. I'll give you
played
that.
it?
I
You
really
played it?
like how you. Yeah, I played part of a one shot so far.
At some point, we'll finish it.
Why don't you mention that, Morgan, since we have some free time before Corey comes back? What you doing? Morgan's coming up with his own crazy system. Chat it up. Plug it.
Nice.
Yep. What is it? Corey and Dan are in the other game, and then a couple other people. But it's called Astounding Heroes of Negative Green. I'm going for a very pulp sort of feeling, like the old 1920s, 30s, 40s style comics, like Doc Savage and Flash Gordon and those sort of things. So very high on the action. Totally new system. It's basically a D20 roll under system. Setting wise, it's sort of, I keep telling people, it's sort of like mixing Indiana Jones with Blade Runner with Mad Max. So it's kind of, it's not necessarily post-apocalyptic, but it's sort of. Without getting too much into like the setting things, it's kind of, I don't know really how to explain it.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it looks so cool. Every time you post something about it, I'm just like,
I think
man.
your role system really simplified. Like for me, anyway, it seems like it's really simplified the job of the DM and the job of the player to get through the story system. And it's just a really awesome that you worked out. I really, really like it.
Yeah, I'm trying to kind of do everything. I've taken a few things from other systems that I like, but I'm really trying to push myself to come up with something new, both with the way the roll system works and the initiative system. Are kind of totally a little bit off the wall, but so far they work.
And this system is like nothing you've ever seen. It's absolutely amazing with these cards and so cool.
Yeah, it seems super cool, and I hope that I get in one of those games soon. Are you planning to like release that on drive-thru or something?
Well, it's going to be through the Left Hand Publishing, which is Chex, Rob, and I. This book, I'm aiming for roughly 350 pages. It'll include all the rules and player type guide thing, the DM guide on how to run combats and build combats and encounters, because there's a lot of different things that go into that because of the initiative system, and then the whole setting info.
Dang.
And it's going to take from 1942, and then the current year is 2453. So it's almost like 500 years in there. So there's going to be all these. They're going to do a timeline of just like one major thing each year that I can eventually build off of from there. But if everything goes to plan, basically over the next year, I'll be doing that. I want to do a Kickstarter probably late next year for it.
Yeah, man, that's so cool.
So I basically have about a year and a half to just keep building the hype up and stuff like that, and hopefully do it. I just got my first art commission I put through the other day, which I'm going to be using for a cover picture and an adventure that I'm writing for it. So I'm going to keep plugging that.
Sick. So is that art that you post on the OSG like your like art that you found, or is it art that's commissioned? Because that's like so unique and like cool looking.
Art that I find. However, I Photoshop bits and pieces of different images, like the Dr. Voodoo's Orbs of Doom. Is the background is one image, and then I Photoshopped the different characters, and one of my friends drew up the girl picture in there, so I Photoshopped it all basically from different shit.
Nice.
But the one I have coming is going to be completely. It's a guy in South Africa I found who does pulp art, and it's an actual canvas. It's a 42-inch by like 37-inch canvas that he's painting it with oil paintings.
Super cool.
He does the high digital scan, and then he mails it to me. So actually, I can put it down here in my game room.
Nice.
That should be really awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, definitely look out for that if you guys are in the OSG, because it looks super dope. Only I hope that I get in before you, because I want to play some of that shit real bad. Anyways, let's get back to it. The people come out of the mines hungry, starved, scared, reassured by Octavius and the group that Harshnag and you mean no harm to them. You're approached by three figures. They come a short, broad, barrel-sized dwarf who introduces himself as Thrakus Grum. I am the commander of Hamelmave House, a mining company that is out of... Scroll upwards to my notes. Shit, I lost them. He says this all to you. Mirabar is what he tells you. And then the Dragonborn women would step up and she's wearing all these silver kind of mage-looking robes, and would introduce herself as Drava. I am from the Silver Triangle from Neverwinter. And lastly, a human named Zalaron Darask of the Delvers of Broken Stone from Waterdeep. We are the 3 business owners, miners, if you will, mining companies out of Fireshire. There is no other of ruler system than us. It is just these 3 mining companies, and we contract out workers. It is our responsibility to watch over these people, and we have done a terrible job. And now, with winter just around the corner, I don't think it matters very much if you've destroyed the frost giants or not. We are doomed. All of our food, all of our supplies, they're gone. We are all going to die here. Drava speaks up. Zalaron, I think it is best that you not talk about this in front of the other miners. Perhaps we shall go somewhere else. To which the group looks to you for help. They've already just assumed that you guys are here to help them. And Thrakis says, I think my tank is mostly in check still. Would you come with us and talk to us there? Don't everybody speak up at once. Don't you have a leader or something of the group?
Yeah, we'll come with you. But if you got some extra supplies, Lily can make some great pancakes.
Oh, yes. It's been a long time since we've had pancakes.
Thrakis' face, he's this big brown, and he has the type of braided beard that instead of going downwards, actually braids up into his hair and forms this massive braided man bun. And his face starts to go red. And he says, did you not just hear what we said? Our supplies are gone. Java speaks up. Thrakis, these people have done nothing to us. Let's not get angry at them. Perhaps they are our only salvation. And then you hear him start grumbling to himself. What kind of idiot asks us if we have fucking supplies for pancakes when we've just been fucking terrorized by frost giants? Fucking pancakes. Java comes up behind
really
you.
good pancake.
And she's just like, I'm sorry, he is just a very stressed dwarf right now. You understand that he has lost many people, and he takes it upon himself for not being able to protect his workers. She escorts you into a tent. All right.
Use pancakes.
I would suggest that you do not mention the pancakes anymore, please. But we are in grave danger. We are many, many, many miles away from having contact with Mirabar, from Neverwinter or Waterdeep. The closest city is Luskan, the city of sails. That is still a few days' travel. We have way too many injured people here to evacuate. But I fear with the winter quickly coming, the height of it, I do not think we can last.
How many people? What's the population here?
Well, it was 1,000 strong. After the giants come, I think we are down to a couple hundred.
That's manageable.
Octavius would look to Warren, Livy, and Sunlit with a forlorn look on his face, and then he would turn back to the 3 merchants of the, and he would say, "Show me to your wounded and sick. I will get started doing my best to heal them while you guys figure something out here." And
Yeah.
Octavius would just kind of rush off to go help the wounded.
Zelron would take you, and Cyric and Belladora would also say, yeah, we can definitely help too. Cyric's an acolyte, Belladora is decent at first aid. They follow after you. And you start to go do your healing, Dan. We'll take care of that in a second. The rest of the group, she would, the Drava would look to you all and say, I know it is not very fair for us to ask of this to you, but we are all very powerful contractors here. And although it does not look like we have much now, we could definitely pay you if you can help us. I just do not know what to do. We maybe
Well,
have a couple of days worth of rations left.
Well, if you're going to pay us, I'm sure we can come up with something. Tell me about these mines. What are you mining for? Coal, diamonds, gold?
Well, actually, long ago, a meteor has blasted into the tundra, frozen tundra here, and created a great crater in the Sword Sea, and it actually released a exposing rich vein of copper and silver. Nothing that we can eat. It's very profitable for that purpose, but silver and copper is all that lays below.
So you need food, supplies,
Me.
and shelter,
Okay.
right?
Yes, we need to be able to rebuild and last out the winter, or at least rebuild long enough to heal our people and get them
What?
out of here.
What did you guys usually do for in terms of game or
Well,
food?
our ships would often sail to Luskin and provide food, shelter, and the materials to survive. The frost giants have destroyed all of our ships and taken all of our supplies now.
How far is Luskin by ship then? You said a few days?
Luskin by ship,
Or
a few days.
okay.
We could do it in one.
Well, we can figure out the supplies and things. Why can't we use the mines for shelter?
Darsh, what's her name? Sorry, I'm actually blanking it out here. Dashara actually speaks up, and she says, "Sorry, not to interrupt here, but when Screecher carried me away, I was in this unconscious state for a pretty long time, but I remember waking up in a forested area, and you know." When we had the issue with the ships before, we used my griffins as a way back and forth between Luskin. Thrakis would speak up and be like, "That's good and all, Dashara, but didn't all your griffins die?" "Yes, all but Screecher. Thank you for reminding me, Thrakis. But when I woke up unconscious, I swear, in the forest, I seen other griffins. And I think that if we can go out and track them, you know what I do, right? I am a griffin tamer. I might be able to get them, and that could provide a constant supply for us, at least for a while. We can evacuate on the griffins. It will only take me about a day to train them. Now, I don't know if that's a silly idea or not, but I swear I seen at least 2 other griffins. Perhaps even more. I heard them squawking, as if calling out to Screecher. They seemed lost and confused."
Well, maybe between our boat here, like I said, it seems to travel a bit faster than the average boat, and I actually, it's a long story, but I seem to have a bit of a way with griffins as well, there, man.
Perhaps then you could come with me. Help me look for them. I'm very good at tracking them. Screecher will be able to catch on to their scent. It's just a matter of catching them and calming them. Don't really know, like, what's the better choice here. If you have a fast boat, you can maybe get some supplies. I'm not sure what would be quicker. I imagine my griffins would be faster, and if I can get to Luskin, then we can send more ships, but I don't know. What kind of freaking boat do you guys have? It looked like a punt.
He's a very fast punt.
We
Friend stands at the bow and is like, vroom. Magnificent.
That sounds, I don't know. Whatever help. Maybe my idea is silly. Maybe I was just daydreaming.
How long does it take for the Griffins to fly to Luskin?
The Griffins could probably make it in. Let me actually just check a Griffin stat before I completely bullshit you guys. I'm trying to pull up the map. I actually don't even know if it's a couple of days travel or not. Let me see here. From Fireshare to Luskin by boat would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 day travel. So you guys would be able to do it in maybe like 4 or 5 days. Now a Griffin mounted by a cavalry rider and maybe people that are trained. Let me pull up a Griffin here. Sorry, just so I'm not completely bullshitting, but I'm presuming a Griffin can fly faster than your boat can travel. Yeah, they can definitely travel quite a bit faster than your boat. So the Griffin would be able to make it in probably about mathing here. I'm gonna say less than 3 days, opposed to your like 4 or 5 days.
When does the winter come?
The winter is here, my friend.
No, I understand that, but is there a time when it seems to get worse than others? I'm not very versed with all this.
Well,
weather.
just yesterday was the Feast of the Moon. This is Java speaking. The Feast of the Moon means that the nights begin to lengthen.
Yeah, very aware, ma'am.
And the cold begins. It only gets worse from here for about another month or so, or perhaps even longer, when we're this far up north.
Well, why don't you help him go tame some critters, Sonny, and perhaps Livia and I can herd the people down into the mines and get people warm. Octavius can tend to their wounds. And at least get them out of the weather for the moment until we can go from there. I can tell them stories about the great men that I once knew.
My only concern is that we are still very near the Icewind Dales. Fireshare is just on the outskirts of it. It is a very dangerous territory still. Drasha speaks up and says, "Yes, but me and Screecher can handle it." "I'm sure you can, Draza, but maybe it's safer if a couple more of you go. What if you get in a fight with a Yeti? Or worse, a full-grown Remmerhaz?" You guys remember fighting a young Remmerhaz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've come across one of those before. They're quite relentless.
"Well, I'll come with you if you're scared. I can kill a Remmerhaz with my bare hands." "I'm sure you could, Thrakus. I'm sure you could."
And I'm not going to be able to stop her from coming with me. And she pointed to Bajon.
"Yes, I will follow Scavella Zimne Zavira to the end of the earth. It sounds like a great hunt. We hunt these griffins and kill them?"
No. I'm going to use them as our friends, Bajon.
Oh, that's not quite as exciting, but
They do taste like chicken, no Brunhild.
And then Deshara says, "No offense, Thrakus, but your," and she doesn't know quite how to put this, "demeanor isn't quite the best for calming down griffins. You, Sonny, say you have experience with griffins. I would very much like it if you came with me."
Yes, we like I said, it's a very long story. We met another giant that actually tamed them as well, and I seemed to befriend them whilst we were traveling with him. Seemed to have a way with animals, actually. Strangely.
This is a good idea. And if the idea comes short, then you guys can take your ship and go for Luskin and hope that you make it in time. Is anybody else coming with us? You're all welcome if you're light on your feet.
Nobody's as light as I, friend.
So is the plan just you two then? You two and Screecher?
So yeah, Bjorn,
Hilda,
yeah,
Screecher,
Bjorn,
and Shara.
she, and then Sunny would look to what's her name?
Which one? Drava?
No, her friend. Mostly.
Brunhild.
No.
Bjornhild?
No,
There's
no,
too many of them now. Oh, God.
no. The other woman,
Belladora?
Belladora.
She went with Octavius to go help the sick and wounded.
Oh, she did. Okay. I really don't think that there's many more, because the rest of our troop here is certainly going to be helping with the wounded here. You think
Alright.
the two of us? Well, three of us. Well, I guess, and then she looks at the griffin. I guess there's four of us, right?
Yes. To be honest, if we get in trouble with the wrong things, then we might very well be dead, but that's the chance you take any time when traveling the Icewind Dales.
Yeah,
The more the better, but if your
Um,
friends want to help, then your friends can help in whatever way they seem fit.
I'm sorry. I really want to say, we just fought a horde of giants. I don't know if anything singularly alone is going to be much of a challenge for us.
Fair enough. Well then, I guess we have nothing to worry about. With the great giant horde slayer on my side, and Screecher as my trusty steed, I guess we should get going then. As you guys set ready for travel, we'll see. Octavius, give me a quick medicine check here, and you explain to me how you want to try to help people.
Actually, what I'm gonna do instead of giving you a medicine check is I got a little thing worked out here.
Sounds good.
Octavius is basically going to lead Belladora and whoever else came with us, and I'll look for the mass of the amount of injured people. Once I see the group, the biggest group of injured people that I can find, Octavius will going to blow everybody's mind here really quick. He's going to kneel in the middle of all these people, and he's going to say out loud, not in a whisper, but in a true, pure voice, "Ill matter, give me the power of Saint Solars and the true pain bearers, the twice martyred." And the first 60 people within the radius, like the very first 60 people that are around Octavius, will all be stabilized.
Damn, Sam.
And the reason I have the power to do that is because I have, without using any spell slots, I can offer 60 healing points. So if I give one healing point to everybody to stabilize them, I should be able to stabilize the first 60 people around them without any spell points.
You stabilize pretty much everyone who's on like the brink of death for sure, easily.
Then Octavius will stand and he'll look to Belladora and Sir Barris, and he'll say, "We should perform triage on the rest. I've used a lot of my resources already." And then he'll just move off and start helping other people.
Nice. That's super cool. So yeah, instantly anyone that was on like borderline dying is just brought to stabilize, and then you see the other kind of people with Cyric and Bellador running around stitching up children first and women, and then Octavius going around and just offering out healing along with the medics that are left. You're able to put at least like all the emergencies are taken care of and stabilized. Before Sunny takes off, does Livy and Warrendale don't want to go, or they do want to go?
Warren would stay back anyway to
And
help
Livy
move people.
Livy would be partial to that as well, trying to help get these folk. And so it's like, yeah, we'll maintain base here while you guys go and get supplies or whatever.
Yeah, so when you kind of go back and start to help out, you see that although Octavius has kind of taken a maybe not understood turn to you guys lately, you see that he's clearly in his element now, and you don't know if like whatever he's doing is working or not, but he is saving a lot of lives and helping a lot of people right now. And without him, as you watch him go around just like miracle after miracle, you don't know if the people of Fireshear would be in as good a shape without him. And you just listen to what he says. He kind of just like takes the lead in this moment. and would direct you to like help whoever they needed to help. And after that's all done, you kind of just like start cleaning up after themselves. Sunlit. Sorry. We with Screecher, Bjornhilda refuses to ride on the back of a griffin. She says that riding one of those sky beasts is a great dishonor to the great hunter, and she doesn't want to do it. But if you are keen to that, Deshara says that there's room for you. But she, if you're not going to jump on back, kind of like darts up into the sky. Do you want to ride with her or not? Sunlit. You're on mute, dog.
I think seeing that Bjornhilda isn't really feeling that, I would travel with her.
Okay. So yeah, you and Bjornhilda walk on the ground through the kind of like the southern end of the Icewind Dales. It's still quite like snow has swept in, but it's not like waist high deep and absolutely treacherous. Although you can obviously see that winter is quickly like following, like coming down from the north onto you. And you do see that it's getting like, it almost seems to be like getting more winter as you're just walking. You see trees just absolutely covered in snow now, but you see trees, which is kind of cool because you haven't seen trees in like what feels like weeks now. And Screecher and Deshara are flying up a high, trying to like catch track. She comes swooping down at one moment, poof, a big plume of snow kind of comes up as Screecher kind of just majestically kind of puffs out his chest out in front of you. And she would say that he thinks that he's picked up the trail. And I'll get you to all do a combined survival check right now to see how quickly you're able to track.
We can do it. Yeah. Not really a jam, even being a cat.
Not really your jam, but luckily for you, Deshara, the retired captain of the Griffin Cavalry, is an expert tracker. And she says, "Fear not, it's this way." And I don't know why her accent changed. I'm very bad at doing it. But she says, "Fear not, I think that Screecher will be able to find them. This way." And then Screecher no longer flies. He kind of like gallops and glumps through the snow. And you're taken into this basically like snow Christmassy kind of pine tree area, and he kind of is navigating through the trees that get thicker and thicker as they go, and you come upon your first what seems like disturbance of snow. You don't necessarily know what goes on here, but you would think, as the Shara tells you, you wouldn't think you would know that it seems like there are definitely griffins here, 2 perhaps more. Something was going on. It seems like a disturbance, perhaps fighting something. They must be close, though. These tracks seem near. The snow hasn't brushed them over yet. Quickly, we might be able to track them. And you kind of glump a little bit farther in the snow, but this time you start to slow it down. And Bjornhilda, the great barbarian woman beside you, is excited, and you see that she has a great axe at the ready, and she looks like she's about to kill anything at any moment. She's looking around. You'd actually have to remind her, like, don't kill any griffins. And she would just nod at you.
The animals look like that bird. We're not going to kill those. We're going to tame them.
Yes, Skavella. I do not understand this kind of hunting, but I'm very excited to do great honor for you.
Thank you.
Will not use my axe. And it's at this point, give me a perception check, everybody. And by everybody, I mean Corey and the 3 NPCs. As you all like to fucking split the party and shit.
Hey, I can't make them come with me.
All right. You see it first in the parting of the trees. What streaks by momentarily. Woof, woof, woof. Black, jet black. And you swear a tinge of red.
Was it a bird?
Big in the trees. It's not flying.
Is that one there?
You start to follow it. You kind of part through the trees. You're now sneaking now. Give me a stealth check. You're leading the charge now. You kind of take over.
Yeah, that's her thing.
Yeah, you sneak up and you come to this opening, and there you see it. You can't believe your eyes. Standing in the middle of this opening field is Veltrex. Next to him, Stuart the Griffin. These are Zephyros's griffins. There's no mistaking it. Veltrex looks injured. His one wing is bleeding, and you see that there's actually like deep crimson snow.
Oh my. What's her name again?
Dashara?
Yeah. But is that with a D or a V?
D.
Dashara? Okay. Dashara. Remember when I said that I kind of befriended some griffins?
She nods.
These are certainly them.
You now see it, and as you're kind of on the outline of this, you notice that Bjornhilde gets a little bit excited and makes a noise, and Veltrex aggressively turns and starts looking and starts squawking and puffing out its wings, and it tries to flap its wings, but it can't fly. Do you step out? It doesn't see you. It just it heard a noise.
Bjornhilde, stand down, please.
She steps back. It looks like Veltrex is about to like try to take off.
Yeah, and I would with my unnatural speed, I would burst out into the opening and go, Veltrex! Do you
come
remember?
Out and instantly on the defensive. It lets out a loud like
Yeah, it's all right, girl. It's me. And I would always have my hood up, as I've always talked about, and I would take my hood down. Now I look different. You know what I mean? So
you're white now, and it instinctively is defensive. It doesn't. You can tell right away in its injured state. Veltrex, it's a proud griffin, anyways, does not recognize you, and it steps in front of Stuart, who's not injured, but the more infant griffin, and it gets up and it starts to puff its chest out, and it starts to exhale aggressively. It starts to snap its beak at you.
Yeah. No. On the floating castle, it's me. It's the same Catwoman that you befriended and almost you almost came with me, and I'm walking closer to her very slowly, but confidently, with my hands up. You know what I mean, in a non-offensive way.
You walk up, and as you do, she actually comes in, or he, sorry, comes in for an attack. But as he comes in and he tries to peck at you, his injured wing kind of doubles him over, and he falls to the snow momentarily, and you just see blood kind of pouring out, and he picks himself back up and just exhales at you again. Do you want to try to do an animal handling check or anything else that you can think?
Yeah. She's certainly very still gingerly and with respect to this very powerful animal. Comes over and, almost like you would to a dog you don't know, not with an aggressive hand, but, with the back of her hand, comes over and tries to show him that she is the same tabaxi.
All right, give me an animal handling check.
Come on, don't screw me tight. No, that's not too bad.
16. So I'm going to say what you do, because maybe you've forgotten, but Sonny would not have forgotten.
Yeah.
She walk up and she doesn't recognize you, or he doesn't recognize you. He's biting and he's getting ready to fight again. And you can tell that it's just hurting him to try to fight you. And you just want to do anything you can to calm this poor beast down. And you remember the last time you parted ways. Veltrex left you something. You reach into your satchel or pocket.
Feather.
You pull out the black feather.
Yeah.
Veltrex looks at it.
Look, my friend. I am the same woman that you were torn to leave. And I present it right to him, and with my hand outstretched, I go to pat his head.
It sniffs the feather. It realizes it's its own, momentarily confused, and then it gets like right down and looks you in the eyes, and for a moment you swear that this thing's gonna just peck your face right off.
No, and I don't back down, just like you wouldn't with an animal you're training or so on and so forth. I look him directly in the eyes.
And then he nuzzles you affectionately, but in his traditional aggressive Veltrex way, he now remembers. Stuart comes galumphing over too, and he remembers you also now, a bit scared. This griffin, more of your standard kind of light brown and like white chest. He's excited to see you too. They both kind of are like nuzzling into you and whatnot. You're basically trying to figure out what's going on, and then you see that Veltrex falls over again on its injured side. It seems like it's took it something very badly and definitely needs some kind of medical care.
Yeah, some healing. And of course, I don't have. How far away are we from the village?
Maybe about an hour.
An hour out. All right. I would call to. I'm terrible with names, so I forgot her name already. But
Deshara.
Rider, and to leave her griffin there, but for her to come, and I would explain everything. So this is Veltros, right?
Veltrex.
No, the owner.
Oh, this is Deshara. Yeah.
Nope, the giant.
Oh, Zephyros. Sorry.
Zephyros, yes.
So many people.
And I would say very abridged story about how we traveled with a giant. We've come across a lot of giants actually recently. I'm very sorry for the confusion here. But it's this.
She's like kind of like, as you're giving the whole backstory, she's like actually going and like checking out the griffin. And at first, Veltrex doesn't really seem too keen about it, and he probably wouldn't have been if you weren't there. Yeah. But she, an expert griffin handling herself, steps up, and you're kind of like telling all this story, and she's just and then she's looking at the griffin, and she would say that he is
there were two others though.
He's injured very badly. We need to get him immediate help.
Well, the man that I travel with, Octavius, I've seen him heal almost anything.
All right. I will go back at once and get him. Me and Screech will be as quick as we can. And she runs and does a big, like a whistle. I can't actually do the whistle that I want to do. And it's probably better for your ears anyways. But then Screecher comes over and she jumps on his back and says, wait here. We'll be here at once. We'll be back as soon as we can. And takes off into the sky. Flying at max speed, makes a lot better speed. Octavius, you see in the distance first, as you're kind of all sitting around taking care, a griffin coming forth a little sooner than you expected. It comes landing onto the ground, kind of kicking up snow and mud and before you, and she starts yelling out, Octavius! Octavius! Where's Octavius?
Fearing the worst, Octavius would just get up and run straight to her.
She would quickly kind of relay the information that we found the griffins. Your friend Sunlit knows of them. She said that its name is Veltrex and it's badly injured.
You would know that name.
Let's go.
What does the other two do? I'm going to imagine that Warndale and Livy are standing there. Now, you immediately know that there's not enough room for 4 of you on a griffin, but do you guys want to do anything in particular?
Man, if only someone had a bag of holding at this point, but yeah.
If only someone had a what, sorry?
A bag of if only someone had a bag of holding. Darn. But actually, I don't think it would work. Livy does know how to do rope trick now. So I don't know if that.
I don't know how rope trick works, but I feel like you can't use it to teleport on the back of a griffin.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna tie yourself to the back of a griffin. What are you gonna do?
But Livy is pretty small, so like she's I won't say 5'4".
Yeah, Octavius on the other hand, not so small and has quite a bit of heavy armor on, so it's going to be a struggle for that griffin to carry him and the dwarf.
Perhaps you should be best for this case then, Livy.
What if he's gonna come with, right? I mean, I guess I could do this and all, but just
Octavius, I imagine you're already jumping on the griffin, and you could tell that.
I'm like halfway there. Yeah.
Take off your clunky armor.
Come on, you dig through.
I think she'd also kind of give like, she gets on like just kind of a worried look back to one, just like okay. I'll be back.
Wait, are you gonna try to go on the griffin with him, Livy?
Heck yeah. Just small
Alright.
enough.
All right, I will say that you jump on. It's gonna kind of burden it a bit because 3 people, 2 of which are not small, will burden it a bit. But Screecher is a very strong and proud griffin, so it makes way back. As we kind of pan over to Warrendale, do you want to do anything? You do have your pennant. I'm not sure if that can actually help you in this situation.
Yeah, not really in this case, I don't think. Being that it wouldn't be able to hold it anymore, they'd probably be best for this. I'd just continue helping the people the best I could. And
All right.
I mean,
Sounds good.
they're the ones kind of built for this, not me. So
you get left behind in the desk, as you're probably like, whatever. Finally, some peace and quiet for Warrendale. They dart off. Sunlit, as they have left, I'm gonna say about an hour and like 45 minutes have kind of passed from like there and back. The weather has started to take a turn for the worse, and so has Veltrex. He's actually on the ground now, and he's laying on his side, kind of heavily breathing. And as he breathes, you can see that it's like a pained breath. It's very like exaggerated and exerted. You starting to wonder, like, it's been so like you never thought you were going to see this friend again, and now the thought that you might lose him as soon as you've met him again.
Can I make a medicine check? You know, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, let's try it.
Griffin anatomy or anything, but
yeah.
And if so, I'll use my inspiration.
All right.
Not well in the beginning. Yeah.
Up to you if you want to use it or not.
Yeah, I'm gonna burn it. Come on, die! Don't fuck me now.
Burn it, burn it. 12 is enough to be like at least decent. Like you don't know Griffin anatomy, but like you're holding the wound, pressure on the wound. You're kind of comforting Veltrex. And hour and 45 minutes goes by, like I said, and you hear at first the screech of Veltrex, to which Stuart kind of screeches back out to like almost signal, and then kind of riding in momentarily, like doing a wide circle around the opening, and then kind of landing into the snow and coming up, trudging like big puffs of snow behind as it lands. You see Livy and Octavios. Octavios, you can't believe your eyes, neither can you, Livy. You see Sunlit kneeling into the snow as Veltrex and Stuart, Zephyros's bird kitties, are just kind of laying there.
All right, Chris. Completely up to you. What state is Veltrex in?
Do you want to medicine? Like, he's in a pretty bad state. It's pretty apparent.
Like, still above 0 hit points?
Probably like borderline into the 0 hit points, like / death saves pretty soon.
All right.
He's not fully unconscious yet. Like maybe like a 1 HP kind of thing.
All right. So before Skritter hits the ground, Octavius will have he would have seen the pain in Sunlit's face from the air.
Mm-hmm.
And he would have realized the severity of the situation. Not only is this something that Sunlight holds dear in her heart, but the relationship with Zephyros is an important one to Octavius, and he understands that this is one of his greatest, most loved companions on the planet. So Octavius basically vaults from the back of Skritter as it's just a couple feet above the ground and lands heavily in the snow. Already on his feet, running towards Sunlit and Veltrex, Octavius is starting to chant within himself. As he gets to Veltrex, he'll look down and see the severity of the wounds that the bird has. Look into the eyes of Sunlit and see the pain and the need for resolve in the situation. And Octavius will, with your obviously with you saying it's okay, Octavius kind of goes above and beyond, and I'd like to channel all of one mass healing word into the healing of Veltrex, because I don't necessarily understand the animal or the historical lineage of the griffin, so I just feel like this is as much as I can do, so I'd like to do it all at once.
All right, very cool. Burn it. Corey's gone again.
So it'll be 11 healing points to Velatrix through Mass Healing Word.
Very cool. So yeah, it's a powerful healing surge, and a griffin is a pretty fortitude or like a constitution. Like it has a lot of health, I guess is what I'm trying to say fancily, but I can't do it. So 11 heal point, like 11 healing kind of radiant energy surges from you, and obviously that's enough to put it in a pretty good state, but it's still not by any means like fully healed, but it's enough to like stand back up, and it looks at you, and just gives you like Go ahead.
I'd like to sunlit and just say, this will be okay for now, but it needs more time to heal. We need to get it back to camp if we can.
Dashara definitely agrees. She would say that there's a little remnants left of there's a little bit left of my stable. I think I have some supplies left that maybe the giants didn't think was necessary, and we can go there and give this beast more aid that it needs with the help of your friend.
Yeah, he's certainly very special to me, and I don't know if this is a young of his, but Stuart here, I wonder where the other two are. There was two more.
Veltrax gives you like I don't know. He can't really communicate with you.
Right. But she would look back at Beltrax and go, where's your friend's friend?
Basically, he looks like he wants to bring you somewhere, but as he tries to like start walking off into the snow, he kind of like falls over again and like he's injured.
Yeah.
So it's up to you how you want to heal that or handle that. He definitely like wants to show you something, like bring you somewhere, but you have a feeling that like unless it's really close.
And she would go over and kind of, love on to Stuart a little bit. Do you know my friend? She would look down to Bellatrix and then look back up to Stuart.
You would just let out kind of like a cawing sound, yeah. Like,
does Stuart start walking a certain direction?
Stuart, he kind of like is in the proximity of Veltrax. Veltrax was their alpha.
Yeah.
So it's not his child or anything like that, but he's not quite as he was the most timid of all of the griffins.
Can you take me there, Stuart? And obviously
you would need an animal handling check if you wanted to go there.
Yeah. Let's try it. All
right.
Certainly, Zephyros talked to them, and I don't know if he talked to them in English. I mean, common, but she is. Man, I'm so efficient in this, but man, every time I roll amazing on animal checks.
You're the Griffin Whisperer.
Yes, I am.
Stuart kind of shakes his timidness and he kneels down, one hand down to like let you jump on his back, and let you jump on.
She's never driven or even ridden on a griffin before, but she kind of digs her hands into his feathers and holds on for dear life.
And what is everybody else doing? Are you just gonna follow or wait? Or Dashara is saying that like we need to. I don't know if Octavios, you can provide more healing to this creature.
Yeah, me and Dashara would be trying to get Bellatrix back.
All right. She doesn't have any like magical healing, but if you want to dump some more healing onto him, basically, if you were to do about that much or more, you would put him into like a pretty healthy position.
Yeah, give me a second. I'll see if I can do.
You have the ring.
I've already used the ring power.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah, it was part of the 60 HP.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah, I'll do that. That's about all I got left.
All right. So, Yeah, I'll say it's enough to like stabilize Veltrax. Like it's definitely not in any like fighting shape or whatnot, but it's not in fear of dying. So it's up to you if you want to follow after Veltrax will actually lead the group, or like what do you guys want to do? Sunlit seems to be going.
Why don't we I would like to retcon just a little bit, and rather than hopping on to Stuart, she just kind of gets him to trust her a little bit more again. And then as Octavius is healing Bellatrix again, she just goes over to her friend because she spent a lot of time with him in that castle. And you think you can walk, my friend? And she kind of even tries to help him up.
Yeah, it steps up and it starts to like proudly. It has like a little bit of a limp, but starts to walk over, and
we'll just walk. We don't have to try to fly.
All right, and you walk for a couple, like another full hour, and eventually you come upon a scene. At first, you see like this large kind of mountain base, and as your eyes kind of like follow it down, you see like a smooth, massive kind of shape running parallel with the mountain itself. And as you follow this like large, smooth, kind of like ginormous shaft-like stone, you see a giant wizard's hat buried half in snow. And you realize now that you're looking upon the massive edifice that is Zephyros's castle. Yeah. It's laid in the ground. It's crashed. It's absolutely broken and smashed.
Someone definitely looks back to his two friends.
We need Warren.
We're 2 hours away from Warren.
I don't care. And then Octavius would obviously look to Sunlit and be like, we need to find Zephyros while we wait. So I'm digging.
Yeah, and she'd be doing the same, using her claws to maybe give her some type of advantage. She would look up to the Griffin Rider again and goes, we have one last friend. Can you please? This is.
She nods and says, "I'll be as quickly as I can. It'll be a little bit longer of a ride, but listen for my screech and please reply back, and I'll get your friend Warren down." And nice. She rides off. Everyone that's there, give me an investigation check.
Oh,
ah!
Livy may be looking really hard for Zeph, but she's also looking for books.
Oh, there's so many.
Right? She's like, there's this like, oh my gosh. Oh, like I can see her like at first her full intent is on finding Zeph, and it still will be, but she'll like pull out a book like, ooh.
Livy, you greedy looter. Just kidding.
It's only because surely one of them would popped up in the midst of her looking.
And as your investigation, you're kind of surprised as you do not find a single book. And you're looking around, and there's just stone just.
And that wouldn't be that wouldn't be on her mind because she, again, like I said, it's like she's
so much stone, so much stone, Livy, as you're just looking through the wreckage, and then you come upon it. Stone, but you brush away the snow, and there's no mistaking it that it's the head of Zephyros, completely stoned, petrified, but the rest of his body, what you've been throwing through the rubble, is what you can only imagine Zephyros's body. He's clearly dead.
Spare the dying. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But okay. How far down did we have to dig?
Sorry, so it wasn't. It was just buried by like top snow.
Uh-huh.
You didn't have to like dig down or anything. I guess I described that poorly. There's just like
No.
snow kind of covering the building, and his tower itself was like snapped in two basically. And it's obviously a massive tower. And then you're kind of like digging around the outside of it, looking inside, and you found like Livy was just digging through what she thought was like this rubble of broken stone. But as she finally comes across it, she realizes that she was digging through the remains of Zephyros, and it's just his head just petrified there with a worried expression on it.
I have a thing.
What do you got, Mr. Octavius? If you have some fucking revive spell, I'm gonna fight you. Just kidding.
Octavius will run over to Livy, and he'll see the rubble that she's been digging through, and I would imagine the horrified. And Octavius will grab onto Livy's wrist, and he'll kneel down, and he'll touch the stone head of Zephyros, and I will cast Speak with the Dead. And I will allow Livy to communicate with Zephyros.
Oh, dang. That's interesting. Speak with the dead. 5 questions, right? Speak.
3, I think, maybe.
I think it's 3.
Speak with dead. You grant a semblance of life. Last 5 minutes. You can ask the corpse up to 5. Okay, 5 questions. Interesting. So,
Sweet.
he casts this.
Now,
and
I'm focusing and concentrating too hard to be able to speak with him, but I touched Livy so that she has the ability to speak with him while I'm concentrating.
So,
I
as he
think
does
that could
this,
be a little bit like, what are you doing?
you're holding his hand, and then suddenly a spectral head of Zephyros appears, just kind of like lifting out of the head. His body's gone,
Oh my god.
and it's his back of his head's turned to you, and he's looking around, just like, "Oh, this is quite peculiar. I've not been on a trip like this. Where's my body? What the hell's going on here?" Turns around.
Look at Octavius.
Livy,
Look at
Octavius.
Whoa.
Greetings. It's been so long.
Yes.
Sorry that I don't know where my body is right now. This is quite awkward. I'm very embarrassed that you've caught me in this circumstance. What is going on?
It's good to see you in such good spirits. Yes, spirits.
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 What do you mean spirits? Oh no, spirits! I'm dead. Oh, this is
Yes.
terrible.
How do you know what happened? You're petrified.
So we had to be careful how we talk now. What's your first question?
What happened?
Well,
That's a broad question.
I think I've died. What I remember.
She's like, yes, but you've been petrified. What petrified you?
Well, doom. Doom in her many faces, many forms. Crackling storms, barren wastelands, ocean deeps, mountain peaks. Her reach is grand, and doom can come from anywhere. He suddenly decides to turn this into like a riddle game, and you're like, "Damn you, fucking Zephyros, you son of a bitch!"
Her history check of 12. Oh, she's like, it's like right there. Like maybe she could. But
questions.
the only thing that's really coming to mind is like things that do what she knows of Grandpa Rin's story about the dragon, and maybe he was playing around with some spell, but I'm not sure if that's me interjecting something. I feel like, did he know how to cast spells, or because he had the books, right?
Is that a question?
No. This was as a player. This is me trying to recall what Livy remembered traveling in the castle with him.
You could maybe give me a history check to see what you remember, or you can ask more questions. You tell me what Livy remembers.
Doom. Yeah. Okay. You said Doom. So it probably wasn't you messing with the spell.
Ask him where he was headed.
So
Where he was
this
headed.
Doom,
Like,
where are you going?
where he was headed.
Yeah.
He's in good
Where was he
spirits.
going?
Where were you headed? Yeah, it's like where?
Well, you know me, Livy. I was just on a cruise through the sky. Whatever I could find was whatever I could find. This is a terrible answer, but I was not really headed anywhere. It seems like I found trouble, though.
Clearly, um, yeah, she's still pretty hung up on that
Did he
stupid
encounter
riddle.
any giants between? I mean, did he find any trouble after dropping us off? Like, I don't know.
I think Livy would feel like if she asks anything else about like what this Doom is, he's speaking of riddles. What do you mean by Doom? Like,
Doom has many allies. She is confused and tricked and corrupted even more. Infiltration. She hides as friends in the face of enemies.
All right. He said she too many times. Who is he talking about? Was she?
yeah,
That's number 4.
I know.
He absolutely said she too many times. We gotta know who she is.
Like for her, it sounds along the lines of the giants and whatnot, kind of like what's going on. So
And
maybe there's a female figure that's leading this now.
I'm sorry, I do not know what's gotten into me. The last thing I remember was contacting another plane, and it scrambled my brains all over. And then he starts like kind of like almost like a broken record. His voice starts to like change different pitches and stuff. And then before you know it, here I am, nobody.
Octavius is starting to shake.
Yeah.
She. Does she have a name?
Yes, of course she has a name. It's been great talking to you, Livy. I wish you the best of luck. Don't worry about me.
What's
Who's
name?
And Octavius passes out.
Livy's just kind of like standing there, just kind of like, Friend, Grandpa.
What? Wait. What did you? You're the best talker I've ever met.
Clearly not under pressure.
Yeah.
as Octavius passes to the ground, obviously like channeling into some pretty powerful magic, you see Zephyros kind of disperse back into the astral plane where he goes to live out the rest of his bodiless life. You're kind of like asking like what the hell happened there, Livy? You're supposed to be the talker. You swear that you hear the sound of stone sliding.
Oh, Jesus.
Look around, turning to your back. Sitting there on the broken tower. You didn't see it before, but you don't know how you missed it. Is a stone gargoyle.
Oh, Jesus.
It has these. It's sitting in kind of like that creepy, like fetal position with its hands like tucked over its knees like protruding high up into its chin. It has these large like fangs and big wings coming out from the back of it, but it's just sitting there like stone, like this demonic gargoyle. Seems like a pretty odd decoration for Zephyros, especially sitting on the side of his broken down parallel castle.
And we never saw that there before.
You don't think so?
No.
You hear another sound. You look to your right. There's another stone gargoyle standing there in the snow now.
I'm wondering, would Livy know? I'm pretty sure she would know them to be hostile or not very pleasant creatures, and so she tried to slowly kneel down to Tavios and just kind of like keeping her eyes on the gargoyles too. Just like, Tavios, you need to wake up, Tavios. And she's just keep an eye on these gargoyles and to look over to Sunny, make sure that she sees what she sees. Like,
Yeah, and then Sunny looks up to Broomhilda. I mean, so Bjornhilda.
We hunt these, yes.
These do not look like they're friends.
You look around, Sonny, and you see that there's at least 4 of these gargoyles that just seem to come out of nowhere. And then,
Are they
as
hard
you're
to
like
kill?
readying yourself,
Yeah.
you look over and you see probably just a sinking feeling in your stomach as you see 2 large like heaps in the snow, and the snow kind of starts to fall off of it, and you see that it's 2 giant stone griffins, Smoochie and Griffers,
Yeah.
the other 2. And then you see their stone wings.
Oh no.
And then the sound of stone kind of grinding on stone, and then it lets out this like horrifying, like not griffin sounding squeal that I'm not going to try to do. And then the 4 gargoyles that are standing around fly up into the sky.
And they fly away from us?
No, they fly like offensively.
And I think that's probably where we're going to stop.
That is where we're going to stop. Good call. All right. Warning wins. Session 21, guys. Hopefully you had fun. I know I did. And thanks for playing as always. Thanks for any who stopped by and said hello. I seen Bill in there for a little bit. Appreciate you stopping by, man. Until next time, guys. Let's catch you around. Peace out.
Holy crap, dude.